Good morning, TLA, and welcome to this morning's weekly assembly. Today is Monday, the 1st of February. In this assembly, I'm going to give you some important notices, but also the theme of this assembly is looking and appreciating what we have in our lives. It's very easy at the moment to focus on all the bad that's going on in the world, but today I'm going to give you some tips and hints to help you appreciate what you have and just recognise how lucky we are compared to some of the others that are less fortunate in the world. Some general reminders. Please keep checking your emails and make sure you reply to your form tutor each week. Please ensure that you reply to your form tutor on the day that they contact you. This ensures that we don't have to follow up any missed tutor emails and contact your parents. Secondly, please can I remind you, if you have tested positive for COVID-19 or are having to isolate, please inform the school by emailing inquiries@tla.school. And lastly, please can I remind the whole school community to continue following social distancing guidelines, wear face coverings where appropriate, and continue to wash your hands at regular intervals. Now I'd just like to give you some remote learning reminders. As I've said previously, please continue to check your emails throughout the week. Ensure that work is completed each day for the lessons you would normally have had on your timetable. That's 5 periods a day. Your work should be taking between 45 to 60 minutes per subject. If you find your work is too easy and you're completing it before 45 minutes, then please contact your teachers for extension tasks. If you find the work is taking you longer than 60 minutes per subject, please stop at that point and inform your teachers that you worked for as long as you can. It may be you need some more support from your teachers to gain better understanding of what's required. Please ensure you use Google Classroom to submit or turn in your work. Some teachers are telling me that you're still submitting or turning in blank work with nothing on it. Remember, you have access to email your teachers if you have questions or are unsure of anything in your work. And lastly, please make sure you read the instructions fully on each piece of work and do what's being specifically asked by your teachers. What I'd now like to do is just show you a short video that I've recorded that shows you how to submit and turn in work correctly on Google Classroom. Hi everybody, in this short video I'm just going to give you some examples and just a quick reminder of how you can turn work in on Google Classroom. To get into Google Classroom you can do one of two things. If you're already on Google, you can click the 9 dots on the top right hand corner and then select Classroom, or likewise you can write Google Classroom into your search bar and then click on the link that takes you into your classroom. When you're in your classroom, the first thing that will come up is all your different classes that you're part of. For today's example video, I'm just going to use Mr. Pulford's maths class. Once I'm in my Google Classroom, there are two main things that I just need to be reminded of. Firstly is the stream. So the stream is essentially a notice board where your teachers can write you comments or give you important information that you might need to be aware of. Secondly, and most importantly, is the classwork section. This is where your teachers will put your work on a daily basis for you to complete. So currently I have 3 pieces of work that are outstanding, all due on the February the 2nd. The first one I'm going to show you is how to complete an assignment or a piece of work with an attachment. When I'm on classwork and I click on it, it will give me a summary of what I'm expected to do and will give me a link to the document I'm supposed to do it in. But actually what we're going to do is we're going to come down here to the bottom and we're going to click on View Assignment. This now gives me the opportunity to look in more detail at the instructions I've been given, but most importantly on the right hand side is the Google document that my teacher is expecting me to complete my work in. You can see here the turn in button, and it's that button that we'll use once my work is completed. So I'm going to click on my Google document and it's going to load basically the template that my teacher would like me to work on. It's clearly labeled with my name and it states here, complete a paragraph describing what you've done today. So I could just put, I have been for a walk, full stop. Now, obviously, that's not a paragraph, and I'm sure you'd write in a lot more detail. But for this video, I'm just going to leave that there. So now my work is completed. We've got to make sure we turn our work in so that my teacher receives it and I can receive my remote learning grade. Now, some of you have either been clicking on share or have been clicking on turn in. What this does is actually sends an email to your teacher rather than just submitting your work through your Google Classroom. Once you've completed the work, what you need to do is actually, you can close this down. It's automatically saved what you've been doing, and it brings me back to my classroom. All that's left for me to do now is click the turn in button, and the document with my name on that I've just been working on will be submitted to my teacher through my Google Classroom. So I'm going to click turn in. It just asked me to confirm that I want to turn in my work. So again, I click turn in. And that work has now gone off for my teacher, ready for them to mark it. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you in this example video, is how to submit an assignment with the attachment already there. My next example that I just want to run you through is when your teacher has set you a piece of work, but they haven't given you the attachment they expect you to write on. So again, I'm back in my classroom. I've clicked on classwork, and I'm now going to click on this piece of work that says assignment with no attachment. So I click on that, and again, I come down and I click on view assignment. Here again, I can read the instructions. So good morning. For today's lesson, I'd like you to produce a piece of work about your favorite color. Good luck. So the teacher hasn't given me an attachment or a template that I've got to use to complete this piece of work. They're happy for me to do the piece of work however I choose. Now, we're trying to encourage you all to use Google as much as possible. So for this piece of work, I'm going to complete it on Google Documents. Essentially, that's a bit like Word that some of you may have. But the great thing about Google Documents is as long as you've got an internet browser, you can access it. So I've come up to my 9 dots on the right-hand side, and I'm just going to click on Docs. This will take me to Google Documents, where I can now start a blank document ready to complete my piece of work. So I'm going to name my document, my fave color. And in here, I'm just going to talk about, I really love the color red. This is because my football team play in that color. Now, again, I'm sure you will go into a lot more detail than I have. This is just an example. So I'm now in a situation where I've created my piece of work. I've given it a title. Again, please do not click share. This sends your teacher an email, and ideally we want you to submit your work through Google Classroom. So again, because it's Google, it's automatically saved my document. I can shut that down and I go back into my classroom. What I can now do is I don't get the button that tells me to turn it in. This is because there's no attachment. So what I actually have to do now is add my attachment to my work. So I can click on add or create. I can go to Google Drive, and I will find most recently there is the document called my favorite color, and I'm going to insert that into the classroom. You can see it's just loaded up. Brilliant, that's done. Now, if you haven't done it in Google, and again, you've just done it on a file on your computer, you'd need to click on add or create, file, and then you can perhaps in your My Documents find the Word document or the PowerPoint or whatever you've been doing your work on and attach it to your classroom. Now you can see that actually it's given me the option to turn that piece of work in. So again, it's going to just confirm that I wish to turn in that piece of work. And now that piece of work has gone off to my teacher. So I've given you 2 examples so far. One where the assignment actually has the attachment template from your teacher ready for you, and the second one with no attachment where you have to attach the work yourself. The last thing I just want to remind you of today is how to answer the tutor question. What you can see is the two pieces that I've submitted have now turned into grey, and my tutor question is still in blue. So I'm going to click on tutor question. Again, I can see the question, but I need to click on view question. And when I've done that, I'm now back into the screen where I can actually come up to this top right-hand corner and type in my answer. So the question is, what is the subject you enjoy the most? I'm going to say maths. And once I've typed in my answer, again, I need to press the turn in button. This will then submit my answer to my tutor, and that will be your tutor email answered for the week. Hopefully this video has been quite helpful. Hopefully this will mean that you're finding it easier to attach all your work and turn it in, which will allow you to get high RL grades on next week's report. I know for some of you, you're continuing to complete your work on paper and then emailing teachers pictures of your work. Ideally, we need to get you submitting your work through Google Classroom and not emailing the teachers directly. This short video will tell you how that if you are completing work on paper, you can then upload pictures of this and submit it through Google Classroom.
Your teacher is using Google Classroom to send and receive assignments to you. But some things are just easier to do with pencil and a sheet of paper. Things like math. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can do your work on paper, but submit it digitally through Google Classroom. It's super easy. It'll just take a couple seconds. You're going to need a couple of things. First, you're going to need your assignment. Secondly, you're going to want a mobile device. It can be an iPhone, an Android phone, or even an iPad. Whatever you've got available, just a mobile device with a camera. The next thing we're going to do is make sure that you have the Google Classroom app installed on your phone or tablet. It's free. Go to the App Store, download it right away. Then you're going to need to sign in to your mobile device. It'll just take a second. You want to make sure you sign in with your school account. Now, parents, if you have more than one student, that's totally fine. They can all sign into the app. You'll be able to switch between the students each time you open up the app. Once you have the app installed and you're signed in, you're going to go and find the assignment that your teacher has created. In our case, we're going to use this one here, our Week 2 math assignment. We're going to open up that assignment and we're going to look for the little button at the bottom of the assignment, the arrow that says Your Work. We're going to pull that up and click on the Add Attachment button. There's lots of different options here, but we're just going to use the one that says Take a Photo. And all you have to do is hold your camera above your math work, snap a photo so that your teacher can clearly see it, and press Submit. That's it. You can do that again if you have a second page, and if you have multiple students, just switch to their account and repeat the steps again.
During this period of remote learning, each week you've been receiving a report on Go for Schools that tells you how well you did in the previous week. These reports are also sent home to your parents. To grade your work, teachers use the following descriptors. An RL1 is excellent. You are fully engaged and completing all of your work set to a high standard. RL2 is acceptable. You are completing the majority of tasks and to a good level. RL3 is minimal. You are starting some tasks, but many are left uncompleted or not submitted. Maybe you're submitting blank documents that don't have the work attached. An RL4 is none, when we have no evidence that you've completed any of the work that's been set. Your report for the previous week goes live on Go for Schools each Monday lunchtime, so you'll receive one today if you're watching this assembly Monday morning. To access, you need to go to www.goforschools.com and then click on Student Login. Your username is your school email address, and if you've forgotten your password, there is a link to click. This will send you a reset password email to your Google Mail account where you'll be able to reset your password and access your Go for Schools report. During this morning's assembly, I just want to acknowledge and highlight our stars of the week for last week. In Year 7, the following students will achieve top marks for their remote learning: Brooke Baker, Alfie Turnbull, Amelia Watson, Brooke Cahill, Ashley Bennett, Katie Braggs, Jack Sheehy, Cleo Stainer, Freddie Wass, and Stan Vincent. In Year 8, the awards go to Esme Appleyard, Sophia Bellamo, Freya Clout, Poppy Sprake, India Riley, John Clark, Jasmine Mitchell, Samuel Bond, and Brooke Parlett. And in Year 9, congratulations go to Tegan Andrews, Lily Emberson, Eva Litton Martin, Hayley McPherson, and Amy Wass. Our remote learning stars of the week for Year 10: Millie Beckwith, Millie Berry, Keisha Byrne, Charlotte Mee, Abigail Sikora, Joseph Wyatt. And lastly, congratulations to our Year 11s: Freddie Baker, Ellie Mae Brown, George Emberson, Ben Hanford, Evie Hood, Iona Koza, Daniel Massey, Grace Sim, Amy Webb, and Alfie Wheeler. Congratulations to all those students who have been named this morning. Your remote learning has been outstanding, and I hope many more of you aspire to get on the Stars of the Week in next week's assembly. I'd also just like to remind those students who are struggling to work on their phone that we do still have laptops available that we can loan you. Some of the work can be very difficult to type into mobile phones, and the screen isn't big enough for you to actually be able to focus properly. If you are still trying to complete your work on a phone, please email me and we can arrange for a laptop to be lent to you to ensure you find your work easier to submit. This will also allow you to have more positive RL grades. When I was thinking about what to do today's assembly on, I was thinking we spend so much time at the moment reflecting on all the bad things that's happening in the world. Maybe today, the 1st of February, is actually a really good time to just stop, stand back and reflect on all the things that we're lucky to have, all the things we've achieved. I love this quote from Jack Canfield. Jack says, "By taking the time to stop and appreciate who you are and what you've achieved, and perhaps learn through a few mistakes, stumbles and losses, you can actually enhance everything about you. Self-acknowledgement and appreciation are what give you the insights and awareness to move forwards towards higher goals and accomplishments." At times, we very much focus on the negatives in our life, and we don't spend enough time patting ourselves on the back and understanding and appreciating all the things we have achieved. For many of us, lockdown is really difficult. We've lost things that we enjoy doing, people we enjoy seeing, and the things that genuinely make us happy. On the slide, I've given you just an insight into some of the things that I would normally do in my life that make me happy. There's my brother and my sister, people who I enjoy spending time with that I've not been lucky enough to see during lockdown. Some of my hobbies: I enjoy playing cricket, I enjoy going to watch Arsenal, and I enjoy spending time with my friends coaching my football team, Heybridge Swifts. Reflecting on these pictures, although it makes me sad that I'm missing all these things during lockdown, actually makes me just think about how lucky I am to have these people and these experiences in my life. Lockdown is difficult, but I know that soon when we're out of lockdown, I'll be able to spend time with these people again and enjoy making more memories like I have in the pictures below. So how can we appreciate what we have? How can we think about what we're grateful for? On the screen now are just some of the ways that you could take some time today to appreciate that. Maybe keep a journal and write down what you're grateful for each day. You could make a list of people that make you happy. You could write a little explanation about what it is that makes them happy that maybe you could share with them. I think one thing that we could all do is this comparison to other people. If we were to use less social media and spend less time comparing ourselves to each other, maybe we'd actually be more grateful and appreciative for what we have and what we are. I think it's really important to talk to people about how you're feeling. During lockdown, we can all feel a range of emotions. Sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're sad, sometimes we're anxious. But the most important thing is to continue talking to people about how you're feeling. One of the ways I've spent some time in lockdown is to educate myself about people who are less fortunate. There are many people in this world who are suffering in poorer countries, who are suffering from starvation or suffering from illness and ill health. There are people who are homeless and living on the streets. On YouTube, there are some fantastic videos talking about people's experiences of being homeless and living on the street. Watching these videos really makes you reflect and just understand how fortunate you are and help you to appreciate what you have in your life. And lastly, during lockdown, if you find those moments where you're stuck of what to do, why not write a letter to those people that you love or those people that you've not been able to see recently? I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. During this time, it's really important that you understand that we're here for you as a school to support you. And there are various ways and various tools that we can do that. One of the websites that I've been looking at this week, which I think would be excellent for many of you, is the BBC website called Own It. Own It is specifically designed for teenagers and school children your age. It's got lots of hints and tips to help you with situations you may find yourselves in. As you can see from the screen, these are some of the short videos and tips that are available on the bbc.co.uk/ownit website. If you get a moment this week, just have a look through the website. There may be something that really helps you. So that's the end of my assembly. Thank you for listening this morning. Hopefully those reminders will just have helped you to remind you of what's expected with your remote learning. And hopefully, just as I have today, whilst delivering this assembly, it's given me an opportunity to just appreciate all the things I'm lucky to have in my life and all the things I'm looking forward to at the end of lockdown. Have a good week.